Hello, BookTube. Believe it or not, I have some mail for you, even though it's a Sunday. It should be a bleak and barren Sunday. There should be no mail. But there were vestiges of mail. I very, very belatedly got my copy of, for instance, the July 22nd issue of The New Yorker, with this incredibly grim cover. Uh, I have, for the first time in a long time, I have canceled my subscription to The New Yorker, so one of these days, soon, this month, I will get the last issue that I'm going to get forever. So that's going to feel strange. But this one, it has a whole bunch of stuff in it. It has a whole bunch of the usual New Yorker mixture. But one of the letters caught my attention. It's short, so I'll read it to you. Written from Bedford, Indiana. Dhruv Kuller, in his article on nanotechnology, rightly outlines the chemist James Tour's substantial contributions to the field, but acknowledges only in passing Tour's involvement in, quote, a rancorous online debate about the origins of life, end quote. Specifically, Tour believes that abiogenesis scientists have been unable to convincingly demonstrate naturally occurring pathways for molecules such as proteins and amino acids to create living cells. His arguments are highly technical and involve protein geometry, but essentially they amount to a suggestion that we not dismiss a divine origin such as that described in the Christian Bible. And if any of you out there know the name James Tour, you know it from YouTube. You know it from the systematic, merciless dismantling of his entire academic worth and career at the hands of Dave Farina. His YouTube name is Professor Dave Explains. And James Tour has been a particular target of his over the years. And I can't help but think that part of the reason why Professor Dave keeps going back to James Tour is because of the mealy-mouthed wording of letters like this. Because Tour believes that abiogenesis scientists have been unable to convincingly demonstrate naturally occurring pathways for molecules such as proteins and amino acids to create living cells. In other words, abiogenesis, the fundamental problem of biology. How do you go from non-living material to living material? The letter says his arguments are highly technical and involve protein geometry. Yes, but they're also faulty. His arguments are also faulty. And when the writer of the letter goes on to say they amount to a suggestion that we not dismiss a divine origin, such as is described in the Christian Bible, one, they don't amount to that. He outright says that. He proselytizes Christianity. And two, the origin of life is not given in the Christian Bible. A fairy tale is given in the Christian Bible where a god creates people out of dirt. That's not a theory. That's not a working scientific look at the way that life began. That doesn't have anything to it at all. It's not observable. It's not testable. It's not repeatable. It's not believed, even as if that were a criteria, by 7 of the world's 9 billion people. It's utterly ridiculous. And yet, Tour himself has been able to couch his rantings and ravings in exactly that kind of terminology. I am merely raising questions about what the scientific knowledge of abiogenesis, when he's not. I mean, I'm no expert in the field, but good Lord, I don't need to see an excoriation more thorough than what Dave Farina has done to this guy. It has been brutal, absolutely brutal. And he hasn't been alone. Once his videos started getting traction, millions and millions of views, former and current colleagues of James Tour have come forward and said, he bullies his way onto papers. He doesn't seem to know what he's talking about. He's rude. He's hasn't done any good work in a long time. Also, again, if you've seen any of this on YouTube, you know that famously James Tour had a debate with Professor Dave in front of an auditorium full of undergraduates who were largely sympathetic to James Tour. I watched that debate. A lot of you asked me about it, and I had incredibly mixed reactions. Of course, Tour was acting like a lunatic, screaming. An adult man, screaming at the top of his lungs. I don't mean raising his voice. He was screaming comments like an idiot, like a lunatic. But on the other hand, Professor Dave was not only insulting a man he'd shaken hands with, and would go on to shake hands with. They shook hands at the beginning, and at the end of the debate, you don't shake hands with somebody that you're going to call a liar and a fraud. You don't do that. That's not what the gesture means. But also, he was insulting the audience. He routinely turned to insult the audience. And I was thinking, okay, if you want to swap papers, then James Tour loses. Big time. Big time. If you want to have no audience in the room, just cameras, he loses big time. The minute you start screaming, literally, hoarsely, top of his lungs, veins sticking out, a grown man screaming, the minute you do that, you've lost. No matter what you're saying, you've lost. But it wasn't that. There was an audience present. And I am sensitive enough to the wonders, the joys, the sheer exhilaration of public speaking to know that if you lose the audience, you've lost the debate, regardless of what you're saying. In both cases, it doesn't matter what you're saying. In both cases, it is as much a performance as a lecture. So I was wincing all around. I was wincing all around watching that thing. If I remember, I will try to leave a link to the debate. I'm sure that it's free on YouTube. And it's well worth watching. Well worth watching. Although, I don't know that you'll get as much out of it if you're not familiar with how many videos these two have exchanged before they actually talk face to face. But anyway, that was the New Yorker. Needless to say, there are large parts of this that I will not be reading. But then we have an actual package that was late culled from the porch. And now it's here on a Sunday. Oh my God, it's 3 books. Oh, fantastic. Oh, wow. What have we got here? Oh, wow. Oh, great. I didn't even ask for these. Oh, that is wonderful. Okay, just recently we saw that Grove Atlantic did beautiful trade paperback reprints of 3 Len Deighton books. And they've done a lot of Len Deighton reprints. They are reprinting Len Deighton, which is terrific because, best-selling upper mid-list authors, especially ones that are bordering on the border of genre fiction, they don't tend to get reprinted. And they've sent me more. This is the last trilogy of the Samson books. So this is Faith, Hope, and Charity in these editions. Fantastic. Good Lord, I haven't even started working my way through the first batch they sent me. So what have we got here? These are coming out in early September. And the pub sheet here, what did we get? We got Hook, Line, and Sinker last time, right? Yes. The pub sheet here tells me that the audiobooks will also be available in early September. For those of you who will listen to these on audio or who might want to get your audio from the library. I'm learning a lot about your use of libraries, to put it mildly. I always forget the avalanche of responses I get when I put a Steve probe in the field. I always forget. I always think it's going to be 20 people. And it's not. It's never. It's always a multiple of 20 people. It's amazing. I put a Steve probe in the field, one of yesterday's videos, about you and your library. How have you used it? What do you think about it? How has your using changed? What is your highest use for it, etc.? What's your library like? Oh my God, I'm getting so many great stories. So many. And also pictures. Very happy to get pictures. Very happy when my senescent imaginary booktube friends remember that they have a high-definition camera with them at all times and could send me pictures of everything they're talking about. I've lost count of how many times somebody has sent me an email saying, having a wonderful day, oh, the sunset's just beautiful, I'm just here on the couch with my dog. And I have to email back and say, you have a camera in your hand. This isn't the 70s where you need to make sure your Polaroid is working correctly. You have a camera in your hand. You're telling me about your dog sleeping peacefully on your couch and not sending me a picture? I'm getting pictures. I'm getting everything. And I know that now, I knew already that audiobooks are really popular with a lot of people, but now, oh my God, they feature prominently in library usage. But anyway, so the first book in this trilogy marks the return of Bernard Sampson, the enigmatic agent at the heart of Deighton's blockbuster spy series that began with Game, Set, and Match, the one with Hook, Line, and Sinker, and now we're in Faith, Hope, and Charity. After years on the other side, his wife Fiona is finally back in his life. Cool and sophisticated, Fiona doesn't know that she finds Bernard caught between 2 women, with secret orders pulling him. Oh, they jump onto the other side. To the grim streets of Magdeburg, in grave danger, lurking behind every corner, Samson needs his best friend Werner, but Werner is exiled and in disgrace. And then we just move on from there. Incredible. Okay, well, that's great. That's great. Glad that this author is getting reprint love. That's fantastic. These books will have a new life. They will have a new life and new rounds in both the used bookstores and the new bookstores that to enhance the life of the old paperbacks that are long gone. Great. Okay, I need to find the previous trilogy. I need to find where I put those. But it doesn't matter. Len Deighton is an old hand. He will not leave me out. And I know I've read I think everything by this author, and he won't leave me out in the cold for these. It's been a long time since I read this trilogy, but fantastic. So we have faith, hope, and charity. Fantastic. More Len Deighton. Great. So that's it. That is the unexpected Sunday mail haul. I'll wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.